Thank you. Did you have another, Commissioner Kessler? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Deb, this will be simpler than the other questions I asked you, hopefully. I'd like to know your span of control. Who are your direct reports? How many of them are there? And can you name them quickly and tell me what they are responsible for?
So as the health officer or as the deputy health officer? So currently
I want to talk HCS, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So
if you filled Rutherford's shoes now, how many direct reports would you have?
Currently the way the org chart is designed, the health officer has 2 direct reports. And that would be the area agency on aging, division manager, and then the supervisor for the Veterans Service Office.
And those people are Don Saldia
and Lauren King.
Okay.
And then the health officer also has an indirect to our medical officer as well as the medical examiner.
And Bill just spoke to us
Correct.
earlier, supporting your candidacy for this position. I haven't seen him in a long time, but I have a high regard for him. By all the hands that got raised,
I appreciate all of their support. It's very nice.
Thank you.
Is there anything further from commissioners? I'm seeing none. Thank you. Deb, thank you for the time, for being patient with our questions. You made it off the hot seat, so congratulations. All right. Okay, we're going to move into item 5. At this time, our other items will begin first. Our Discover Kalamazoo annual strategy presentation. We'll welcome President and CEO of Discover Kalamazoo, Jane Ghosh. And we have a number of presentations, so we're going to hold you tight on time. I'll follow up with questions offline if I have them. Welcome, Jane.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. And to that point, you have more pages in your deck than what I'm going to show. So there's hidden slides. I can refer to them if you have any questions on the spot, but to keep it tight to the most important slides, that's what I've done. I'm going to talk through 24 visitor spending, key results in 25, and then our key priorities for 26. I made a public comment about this a few weeks ago. We did get our 2024 visitor spending data, and we did once again grow, which is great, 3.6%. And so when you compare that data for all counties that have any significant amount of visitor spending, we remain #1 compared to pre-pandemic, which is great. And for any of you coming to the annual meeting, a lot of this content will be very helpful for the quiz, just so you know, so you want to listen carefully. In terms of our key results, that was the good news. For 2025 is a tougher year. And so for the first time since I've been there, we have missed budget. And our accommodations tax revenue, specifically for accommodations tax revenue. Whoops. Oh, what I'm seeing is not what you're seeing at all. So I've got all these great slides and you're seeing none of it, huh?
I'll give you 1 second here.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
It said it was sharing, so.
It does say that, yeah. They're changing the view. Give them 1.
Okay, thank you. Well, I will talk to it. So we did miss our accommodations tax revenue budget. That is primarily due to economy hotels are performing very poorly in 2024. That is not just in Kalamazoo County, that's nationally. And you'll probably see some articles about the K-shaped recovery coming out of COVID, and higher income, consumers are doing very well. And much like a lot of the conversations we've just been having here in the last hour, and that has affected the economy segment of hotels within Kalamazoo County. And now the tab is not working to advance the slides. There we go. Okay, we're good. The good news is that because of including the $60,000 ARPA grant that we got from the county, we saw this coming. We saw, after we set our 24 budget, we saw the writing on the wall in Q4 of 24 that 25 was going to be challenging. And I did come to you a year ago and ask if you had any remaining ARPA, that we'd be a great, effective and efficient place to spend it, and you were kind enough to grant us an incremental $60,000. So things like that helped, that we were able to make, even though we missed our revenue target, we actually exceeded our net income target for 2025. And that meant that we could continue to invest in the places that we could to continue to drive visitor spending here. Part of the reason we exceeded our net income target was because we made prudent cuts in areas that we thought were going to be less directed towards visitor spending. An example of that is we had planned to do a website refresh. The colors and fonts of our website are not, we over the time at some point we want to do it, but that was an example of a trade-off we made to make sure that we could invest directly in things that we thought were going to bring in more visitors to Kalamazoo County. So an example of that is the ad campaign. So even though our revenue was down, our ad campaign we continue to invest in, and we found more efficient media tactics. So we delivered more impressions with less money. We continued to focus on bringing in new groups. We've been very successful. More than 50 new groups are on the books to come to Kalamazoo for the first time. We made significant progress, thanks in part to the Kalamazoo County Commission, on the indoor youth and amateur sports facility. Here's all the great things that have happened. The work continues. Commissioner Wheeler has been a phenomenal board member on behalf of the County Commission. We've had great support and help from county administration, the clerk's office, corporate counsel. It's just absolutely been phenomenal. And the work continues, and I see that you have the first reading of the resolution to do the work just to issue the bonds. So if you have any questions about that, I'm also happy to answer that, but I appreciate that the project continues. We are still on track for a 2027 opening for the facility. Part of the original American Rescue Plan grant that we received from the county, we spent into accessibility mapping across the county. And I'm delighted to announce, a press release went out yesterday, we are third in the country for mapped locations for any destination in the country that partners with Wheel the World. And if you go on Wheel the World, they have, premier locations across the country. We are number 3 for the number of mapped locations, and a big part of that was because of the American Rescue Plan grant. And what that means is that now visitors and residents with accessibility needs can know before they go. They can go on to the website and they can see whether more than 130 places across the county, can meet their accessibility needs. So it's a phenomenal achievement, and we appreciate that. We launched new technology, part of meeting visitors where they are. So we launched our app, we launched the kiosks. So these are just some stats there. So that was great. And then our priorities for 2026, just a heads up on the revenue target. So we are assuming that we have 1% growth in the accommodations tax revenue. We're budgeting conservatively because there's still economic uncertainty that is impacting primarily the economy. Hotels. 2027 is going to be a phenomenal year because we'll have the event center, the youth sports facility, the state theater will be back open. It'll be great. 26 will be a challenging year, so we have to get from now to then, and that means therefore that we are going to have less money to invest in driving visitor spending in our community. We are making tough choices, and we're trying every choice that we're making. We're prioritizing the things that we believe are most linked to driving visitor spending. There is one investment that we are making that's not necessarily going to drive visitor spending in 2026, but in the future, and that is a tourism master plan for Kalamazoo County. We did an RFP process and chose a partner to help us with a 10-year strategic tourism master plan. Not just what can Discover Kalamazoo do, but what can we do across the county to set ourselves up for that favorite chart that I show you of our track record for growth. How are we going to continue that for the next 10 years? And so that work, they are actually on a site visit here this week, visiting locations across the county. So it's about a 6-month project that's kicking off this week. This is we call it the greenhouse. This is our total strategy for 2026 2026. And I just wanted to, in the interest of time, highlight top 5 priorities. The first will continue to be the leisure advertising campaign. So we continue to invest in that. Again, Kalamazoo County residents, you all will not see that because you're not the target market. We advertise 50 miles and beyond. The youth and indoor youth and amateur sports facility, again, how are we going to stay on track to keep that open in 2027 so we can start getting those 36,000 hotel room nights into our community to benefit the funders as well as, of course, the participants. And today we had the first 2 of our 4 focus groups with the design build firms to get input from local users and, businesses to make sure that we are designing that with the best, absolute best information possible. And some of the families, for example, the Bird family that came up and spoke to you as we were considering it, were at the focus group to give us the input from their experience going to tournaments as well as playing locally, just as an example. So, and we got some great insights. We finished two of four of those. The master plan I just spoke about, we want to continue to diversify our group business. So we're very focused on bringing in new business and not just retaining the business that we have. We know that we have to keep feeding the top of the funnel there, so that will remain a priority for us. One example of that where we're really focusing is in medical, the medical conferences and that kind of thing. And so we've had the certification that we need to be able to host those, and we've got a great growth path there on medical. And we think we have a unique right to win because of Stryker, Pfizer, for example, in our community. And then finally, the landscape in travel planning and meeting planning is changing significantly with AI tools. And Discover Kalamazoo recognizes that we need to play that game. And so we are very focused on how do we influence the message so that if someone is going on AI to plan a trip, either consider a location or they'll plan a trip once they're in that we are very focused on what do we need to do to make sure that we influence that message as they go. And there is my abbreviated presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Jane. We'll go to Commissioner DeLue.
Thank you, Jane. I always appreciate your enthusiasm. I think Kalamazoo is lucky to have you, actually. How much is the current thing in the news, the lack of ice, how much is that going to affect your budget or your predictions for 2026?
Yeah, actually, for 2026 and what the business we have on the books, our accommodations tax revenue and so forth really won't be affected because Wings Event Center was able to accommodate more than 90% of all of the activity that was at Wings West in Wings Event Center until Wings West was open. And of the activity that they prioritized, the tournament type activity made the top of the list. So not that I'm not suggesting that no one has been affected. For example, the curling club has been displaced for the next couple of years, right? So, but we didn't have any tournament activity on the books with there was the beer spiel was really the only event that we had planned, the beer spiel, and then there was one women's hockey tournament. But the vast majority of the tournament and room night generating activity that affects our revenue was accommodated. And then they do expect, so Black Bear Sports did purchase Wings West. They do expect to have that open in 2026, actually going into the fall of 26. So thankfully it will be, what pain there will be short-lived specifically to answer your question about our revenue.
Yeah. Just curious, how do you measure visitor spending?
Yeah, so this is measured on behalf of every county in Michigan by Travel Michigan, the state of Michigan. They engage with a company called Tourism Economics, which is part of Oxford Economics. When you see economic forecasts, like the K recovery, a lot of that's coming from Tourism Economics and Oxford Economics. They look at credit card spending, hotel data, geolocation data, and then consumer surveys to understand where they're coming in, how much they're spending when they're here. A big part of it is credit card data.
Right. Vice Chair, you have one in brief?
Yeah, one in brief. Really quick, you talked about the $170,000 decrease briefly in the accommodations tax, and then in your budget it has $140,000 in other miscellaneous income.
Yep.
What was that?
Just can you give me a second? I'm going to find that slide. Let's see. And my H is not working. So, 100 and let's see. And I don't know because when I hit hide, it should show the slide, but it's not doing it. Some of that was expenses related to the indoor youth and amateur sports facility that were reimbursed from 2023 and 2024 that we had not assumed because the assessment had not yet passed. The hotel vote, the ordinance not yet passed to be able to collect the revenue for that. So we did not build into our assumption that we would be reimbursed for our project expenses for that. For example, site selection, feasibility study. So a significant portion of it was that.
Okay, so it was a reimbursement from the 4% hotel. That was that reflected on your expenditure side as well, or was that just?
Yes, it was, but it was prior year expenditures that we had not assumed reimbursement for because at that time the ordinance had not passed and the hotel referendum had not passed.
Gotcha. And then you said briefly that expenses will be down significantly in 2026, but I don't see any numbers there. What is the from what your 2025 numbers are and expenses to your 2026 numbers? Is that going to be advertisements or?
We are doing everything we can to retain media because we know that, you know, that is one of the reasons we are here is to attract those visitors. There are a few trade shows that the team's not going to go to, but again, that's, you know, we're trying to limit that as much as possible. An example of some expenditures that we are not going to be able to do is we send to about 400 businesses once a month a postcard. I'm just giving this as an example of how we're prioritizing. At about $5,000 a year of our expenditures that were cut, there's a postcard we send to businesses to let them know when large groups are coming. Because, you know, for restaurants to be able to make sure that they're staffed appropriately, like the Model UN is in town this week. So here's all of a sudden, if you go downtown this week to have lunch, you're going to see all these high school kids in suits because they're here for the Model UN conference. You know, Studio Grill, Toba, whatnot, they wouldn't know that that business is there unless we told them. And so we do a mailing to businesses to let them know when large groups are in town. That is something that we said, you know, they can get that information electronically if they want it, or maybe we can find a sponsor for it. Another example is our dining guide. We've assumed that we're going to need, either we don't do it or we need to find a sponsor.
Yeah, well, how much, just really quick, how much is 26 expenditures down from 25?
I believe it's $150,000.
150. Thank you very much.
Yep. And again, if there's any American Rescue Plan funds remaining, we can spend those efficiently and effectively.
Thank you, Jane. I encourage commissioners, if you have additional questions, to follow up with Jane. Appreciate your presentation this evening.
Thank you.
And your work.
Thank you. Yep.
All right. I'm going to move us next to a presentation on the Kalamazoo County Quincentennial presentation. We'll welcome Sharon Carson from the Michigan 250 Organizing Committee. And again, we're going to try to stick tight to our time, please. Welcome.
There's no PowerPoint, right? For this?
Yes.
Oh, there's, okay. All right, forgive me.
Well, thank you, commissioners, chair, administrator, and I brought a couple of the members of the commission with me. I have Elizabeth Kratz and Bill McAhone, and Jane was on our committee too. So want to thank you first for issuing the proclamation in July of 2024, seating the commission, the committee, I should say. And we had 3 meetings and developed our recommendations and our guide based on those 3 meetings. We realized there's not a lot of time between now and July of 2026, and we realized there are lots of budget constraints, time constraints, and so we focused primarily on a lot of existing events and things that we can really amplify and drive people to participate in during this event. I, for one, was influenced greatly by the bicentennial. I'm probably an archivist and historian because of it. I was 13 years old, and it's lived with me ever since. And so I'm thrilled to be part of this 250th commemoration, where I think, despite sometimes the divisions we have in our community, I'm hopeful that this can bring us together in a spirit of promoting our heritage, collaborating together, and inspiring. Maybe there will be a 12 or 13-year-old being part of the Kalamazoo County 250 that will, in 50 years, be part of our tricentennial. And so I'm going to turn it briefly over to Elizabeth Kratz, and Bill is also going to speak.
Hello there, I'm Elizabeth Kratz. I just want to give you a taste of some of the events that have happened already. And in the interest of time, I'm going to focus on only 5 of them. It began with the very first America 250 Michigan endorsed event right here in Kalamazoo, the dedication of the Liberty Tree in Bronson Park. 1 year ago, the local chapter of the DAR partnered with the Ladies Library Association of Kalamazoo to bring the American Revolution traveling exhibit to Kalamazoo for a full month. I hope you had a chance to see it. It shared the stories of patriots from diverse backgrounds that you will not have read about in textbooks, but each of them made a meaningful contribution to the struggle for liberty. It was a very diverse group of people that it focused on: men, women, children, white, black, Native American, colonists, French, Dutch, Spanish, people you haven't heard of, but their stories were shared during that month, and it was attended by hundreds of people. In October, there was an event here, the Fjord to Frontier Dinner Theater event, which commemorated the bicentennial of organized Norwegian immigration to the United States. This was funded by a grant from America 250 MI. It might strike you as strange. That doesn't really sound like Yankee Doodle. It's because it aligned closely with one of the 5 themes that Michigan wants to highlight during the semi-quincentennial, and that is we the people, because all the ethnicities that came to Michigan created the rich tapestry that is our state, and the Norwegians immigrated here for exactly the same reasons that the Pilgrims did ahead of them. They came here for economic freedom, for religious freedom, and for the chance for self-determination. And those are the exact same things that draw immigrants to our nation here in the 21st century and on beyond. There was just last month a plaque dedication at the Gilmore Car Museum, which was for a rediscovered patriot. His name was Thomas Campbell. He spelled it camel, like the animal, in adulthood because he was not literate. He was born into slavery in Virginia. He received his freedom in exchange for serving at Valley Forge with General Washington. He served under Lafayette. He was permanently disabled at the Battle of Monmouth. He came to Michigan as one of our early pioneer settlers and is buried about a quarter mile on his farm, 160 acres, very close to the Gilmore Car Museum. And that was how they chose to place a permanent plaque on their site. There have been there's been much attention to several of the graves, including wreath layings of the 20 patriots of the American Revolution who moved to Michigan as early pioneer settlers. Among them, Zoeth Toby, Noadiah Graves, and Major Ezekiel Ransom. And of course, that effort to continue to recognize those 20 individuals will go on through July of 2026. Hopefully you will hear their 20 names. I bet not many of you are familiar with them, but it will give the individuals in our community a chance to say their names one more time and remember their service. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm having difficulty advancing the slides. Yeah. It's a good opportunity though for me to.
Yep, so if you just press one of these keys here.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's, so yeah, if you want to go to that next line, just press the next. Yeah.
So I think to that, we've had a lot of events, they've been publicized and promoted, but we realized that some of the events that are ongoing events that are going to be spectacular events, we need a centralized website for listing those events. And that is one of the recommendations coming from this committee. And another recommendation is a logo, and not necessarily this logo here. This is one that a member of our committee has kind of played around with, but we know that in this digital age, branding and digital connectivity is so important. And so a logo design that would be appropriate for Kalamazoo County, but would also, scream Kalamazoo County semi-quincentennial, and this logo could be used on promotional materials that some of the collaborating agencies, they could use it, and it would drive it right back to the Kalamazoo County website. And we've been in touch with Discover Kalamazoo and found out how they approach their listings, and we think that would be a good way to continue that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Bill McAhone.
Thank you. Bill Macklin, Director of the Kalamazoo Valley Museum. I get to sort of wrap this up, but we really want to focus on we the people. And in terms of the very broad sense of the people, so we, is already indicated by Elizabeth, by Sharon, there's opportunities here to connect Kalamazoo County with a website page that would be a portal to gather programs and events and celebrations throughout the year of 2026 and beyond. And we feel like using this as a way is to funnel those programs in, following the method that Discover Kalamazoo already uses. That way things could be slightly, or could be vetted if necessary, but really just put it out there in a one place, one-stop shop place for all of this. And also just the logo idea, just again, to create an identity that we can all lean into. And, this is a celebration, we're celebrating. And in terms of making sure that this is the broadest sense, bring in those stories that haven't been shared before, just like the marker dedication out at the Gilmore Car Museum. I mean, just an amazing story about our heritage, that this is the opportunity to bring this together. I too had an opportunity to celebrate the bicentennial. I was a teenager as well, and it's probably put me here tonight just because my interest in history and the great community that I get to be a part of. So with that, I think we've covered everything, and we would welcome any questions that you might have. Again, a website page, something, and perhaps a logo development to just tie this all together.
Thank you very much for your presentation and your passion. We appreciate you taking the time with us this evening. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move us forward to our next item. Here's some updates on the business expense reimbursement policy. We'll welcome Deputy Administrator Terrell Wolf. Welcome, Deputy Administrator.
Thank you, Board Chair, Vice Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem. It's my pleasure as I work to shut all this down. Forgive me. I'm here today to discuss and request the board's approval to revisions to the business expense reimbursement policy, an effort to modernize and in alignment with the strategic plan to also include some technology for process improvements, the travel and mileage reimbursement process, strengthen documentation standards, and clarify how in-county mileage is calculated. The original policy didn't contemplate hybrid and remote work, so this connects those dots a little bit better. So key changes in the digital submissions, electronic approvals. We're looking at different software to help with automation flows where actual physical signatures are de-emphasized, so that this policy change allows for travel and business expense vouchers. So we're not in position today, but this positions us to integrate those various technologies. Next is that receipts will be required for everything. In our current policy, the meal per diems, they were kind of generally given without that. So this is in alignment with most best practice. Next is clarifications on our mileage under hybrid and remote work. Some soft audits just demonstrated a need for some education, clarification, simplification of the policy. And in this case, the simple way to say it is the expectation is that you come to work every day, that mileage is deducted from your total mileage of that day. So it cleans it up for a lot of folks about the if, but when, and I start here is just very clear, as if you were to come to your home base location. So wherever your county mail comes, that is your official location. So no matter where you are and where you start, you're expected to come every day. If it's 10 miles, then it's 20 miles out of your total. That is reduced because that is in alignment with the IRS and the GSA. So our policy is in alignment with that, and just kind of closing a little loop that we had. And then also there's a small language update in 4.05, which is also about modernization. We have items like the telegraph, and in terms of transportation, we didn't contemplate Uber. And again, with GSA, they have an agreement with Uber in terms of how you get reimbursement. So it's just modernizing some of the language. And so for brevity, I will leave it there and open for any questions that you may have.
Commissioner Kissler.
Chair. Terrell, I've had an Uber account for a long time, but I've never used the service anywhere, including here. Is Uber for real in Kalamazoo County?
Yeah, I will tell you it is. Now, is it robust? No, sir, it is not. I don't know what you have particularly going on, but if you want to earn money on the side, they could use you.
I do have a new car. Thank you.
So I'll just share, I had just some feedback I had provided earlier to administration, I think has been shared. I think simply deducting the mileage from your home to like your home base location may not accurately provide them the mileage that they are necessarily due. So I think there's some more maybe dialogue that could be had around that. I've had work experience where you just have to take mileage either from your home office or your home base, whichever is closest to the location, and that would minimize our expenses and be more in aligned with reality for the employee, and also so that we're not undercutting mileage that they might also be due as well. So I would elevate that as a consideration in the way it's worded for consideration. Is there anything else? Commissioners? All right, I'm seeing none. Thank you, Deputy Administrator.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go next to updates for our personnel policies for 2026. We'll welcome Director of Human Resources, Sharon Brown. Welcome, Director. It was already on.
This is my first time getting to address you, so hello, welcome, Chair, Pro-Chair, Vice-Pro-Chair. I don't have it memorized, I'm sorry. But it's good to see all of you. Thank you. To be quick about it, I'm just bringing a few policy updates to you, and I'll take care of this item and the next one both. The first one here is just some updates to the policy manuals. We're coming into year end. It's a great time to do some cleanup. Just addressing a few housekeeping items, things like the board moved to change who is the EEO officer for the county. So I wanted to update the language in the manual to reflect that. Also doing a policy clarification on the reclassification policy. This looks like something I'm putting together kind of the timeline from the past, but we did our Siegel study, did the reclassification for the whole county, and there was a moratorium on reclassifications for a bit of time after that. This year, that moratorium came off. We started going back to those policies and realized that there were some missing pieces between the handbook manual and the employee personnel policies that you all put together, mainly making sure any budget adjustments are coming back before you here. So we're just updating the language to make sure that that's clear, that no budget impacting policy position changes would go into effect until after the board has approved them. So that'll be updated. As well as we did the payout of all of the frozen sick leave balances that have been hanging around on the employees' rosters. We took care of that in October, and the policy says that that section will be removed after that has happened. It has, so I'm just looking for you to sign off on that as well. And then the last bit of housekeeping was just some no longer relevant date language, policies that went into effect effective January 1st, 2022 or 2023. They are now just policy. The effective date is sort of confusing when you look at it. It applies to everyone. Those are just the dates that they went into effect in the past. So just some cleanup there. The couple of changes I'm asking for you to approve that actually are changes would be one, the policy that I worked on along with corporate counsel to give guidance to our elected officials about how they can handle it if they want to use their independent authority to close their offices separate from the county doing a full closure, and how we will handle compensation for their employees in that. You all were here for all of that. I wasn't, but you know that there was some lack of guidance. So this policy clarifies that for everyone so there's no more confusion. And then the last bit is to just specifically add pregnancy loss as a covered benefit under our bereavement policy. You could make a case that a child is already covered, but it's vague and it doesn't always help people in the midst of crisis know whether or not this would be applicable. So by naming it explicitly, we give them the gift of clarity on that to make sure they're able to take time for such a tragic loss as well. So those are the policy updates I bring to you here. Any questions on those?
Any questions from commissioners? I think I had some minor bits of feedback I had shared with administration just on some of the terminology to clean it up a little bit.
Okay.
Particularly on the role of chairperson.
Perfect.
Policy.
Yes. You know, it's funny. I went through at one point and did check all that, but I guess I lost it somewhere along the line. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts, and I really appreciate it being offered for pregnancy loss to employees. I think that's an important clarification and a compassionate way to respond to employees at such a time. So thank you for that. All right, I'm seeing no other questions.
Great. I did have one other item,
Yes.
the next item on the agenda, if you want me to
Yes, please.
jump right in. We recently had a new position that accreted from general county population into the union. And that brought up all sorts of new things we didn't realize we didn't know, which is how to handle benefits transfers between our leave policies that are available to general employees and how they are differently negotiated within our union contracts. And so what we look to do here is to create some clarity to make sure that there is no confusion if someone is either voluntarily leaving a general county position and taking a new position that is inside of a union, or if the position itself is moving, as happened last year, that there's clarity all around about what will happen with those paid leave balances. Specifically, we now have our paid medical leave for general employees, but that is a benefit that pays you while you are sick, but it is not payoutable at retirement or end of employment. Unlike the previous frozen sick leave balances that did have a payout option, some of our union contracts still have a sick leave that has payment attached to it. So there was some confusion and it was important to get it clear. So along with that, we came up with this language that gives clear guidance about how those two things will work together when someone is moving in or out of a union. This also has the dual effect of being able to resolve a grievance we had with the union when there was some disagreement about how that had been handled last year. So this gives us the opportunity, or earlier this year, but this gives us the opportunity to resolve that grievance and provide clarity moving forward for anyone else in the same position.
Commissioner DeLu.
I think you probably answered my question, but in your new policy, the union had input, so there won't be an issue in the future.
Yeah, I will be transparent. We didn't consult with every union on this, but 5 of our unions or 4 of our unions have similar Me Too language where their leave really just tracks what's in our personnel policy. So this is much less of an issue for them. The place where it's the most different is with the sheriff's unions, where there are 3 there. The grievance came from within that, one of the unions there. And so it has run through that union. This language is not really up to the discretion of the unions because it's the county deciding how we will handle our leave policies. And so the unions then could make changes within their own negotiations about how they want to do leave on their side. But this really is talking about what we will adopt as general employees if you come into general employment from a previous bargaining unit, what we will accept as your balance coming in, and also what we're willing to pay out and give out as you are leaving to go into general employment. So not all 3 unions looked at it specifically. I believe it's well known within the sheriff's department that this was being under discussion, but I did not speak with each individual union as part of this. Specifically with the one that had the grievance, this was put together to resolve that.
Vice Chair and then Commissioner Kistler.
Yeah, this talks about I think it's good to clarify and tighten this up, but it talks about an individual going from one position into another position that happens to be a union position. I take it that this does not apply to if, say, the clerks or the court clerks or some other group of employees decides to unionize. That would be negotiated, and this would be our starting position.
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot more complication to that. So if a new group were to unionize, that would be its own process of getting identified as a bargaining agreement, coming up with a negotiation for their first contract. And that would in some ways track separately from this, because again, this is guidance for the county policies and benefits that we here do have ultimate say over. And so within that, our negotiation would start with, this is what we already offer. They might take the same, like several of our unions have. They may make a case that they would like a different set of benefits. This would be the guidance for how the county handles our transfer of the benefits we own or control in and out with it, but it has no say on what happens once you are within the union itself.
Understood. Thank you.
Commissioner Gisler?
Thank you, Chair. How many bargaining units does the county deal with if we dealt with all of them?
Sure, we have 7. Good pop quiz, and I knew the answer. No.
You've done good.
Thanks.
Anything further from commissioners? All right, we appreciate
Thank
your
you so
time.
much.
Thank you, Director. All right, we'll go to our next item 2025-15-29. This is a first reading. It's a resolution authorizing publication of notice of intent to issue the capital improvement bonds and the declaration of intent to reimburse from bond proceeds for the Kalamazoo County Event Center Assessment District for the indoor youth sports facility. I think we've been talking about this for quite some time, Vice Chair.
Just one last comment, and I guess this is probably for maybe Lou, maybe Kevin could answer this. But I know that we're not charging, for instance, any sort of fee for this to collect it and to do that. Does that preclude us? And I don't recommend us doing it right away either. I think, as I stated before, getting this program off and running is probably the most important part of it. Does this preclude us from, let's say, their whatever $1 million bond that they need to do with this? The revenue far exceeds that, and they have the ability. Does this preclude us from, in the future, after looking at the first few years of finances, charging an administrative fee to do this service?
Thank you, Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Vice Chair, to answer your question, absolutely. I mean, the Board of Commissioners, in consultation with the Treasurer's Office, is able to collect an administrative fee on the hotel assessment. That can be determined at a later time. So it doesn't, this action is, that doesn't preclude that in the future. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, I am seeing none. So we'll move next into closed session. There's a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, did you have something else? Oh, I know. She's not here, but Vice Chair.
I move that we enter into closed session to further discuss the legal opinion from Corporation Counsel dated November 13th, 2025 pursuant to MCL 15.268H.
Motion made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Clerk, any discussion? All right, Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Vice Chair Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler? Commissioner DeLue?
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler?
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler? Commissioner Mazer?
Yes.
Commissioner Morales? Commissioner Ray?
Yes.
Chair Strebs?
Yes.
You have 8 yes.
All right, then we will adjourn to closed session. All right, I will bring us back. Commissioner Wheeler, would you like to do the honors for us?
I make a motion to come out of closed session.
Motion is made by Commissioner Wheeler, supported by Vice Chair Taylor, to come out of closed session. Voice vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the closed session minutes.
Motion is made by Commissioner Wheeler, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, to approve the closed session minutes. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. With that, we are adjourned. All right, I'm going to call us to order, please. Let's come together for December 2nd, 2025 regular business meeting. Item number 1 is our invocation and reflection. It looks like that is for Vice Chair.
Bow our heads. Dear Lord, we ask that you give us the wisdom to make the best decisions for all residents in Kalamazoo County. We ask that you give us the patience to trust one another and the wisdom to listen. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you. We'll go to item 3. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Ray? Chair Streps?
Here.
Vice Chair Taylor?
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler?
Here.
Commissioner DeLue? Here. Commissioner Gisler?
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler?
Here.
Commissioner Mazer?
Here.
Commissioner Morales? You have 8 present.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to item 4, proclamations. First is item 2025-1516, request for approval of a proclamation honoring Robert Salisbury for his service on the Retirement Investment Committee.
So moved. Do you want me to read it or?
If you'd like to. It's up to you.
Sure. Whereas the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners honors the life and legacy of Mr. Robert Salisbury, who passed away on October 20th, 2025, and whose decades of volunteer service and professional leadership, most notably as chair of the Kalamazoo County Retirement Investment Committee, had a profound and lasting impact on the financial health and well-being of the Kalamazoo community. And whereas Mr. Salisbury joined the Kalamazoo County Retirement Investment Committee in 2005 and assumed the chairmanship in 2008, serving with steadfast dedication, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to public service. And whereas Mr. Salisbury joined the committee in 2005, the retirement assets totaled $160.6 million, and as of the end of the third quarter of 2025, those assets had grown to $348.2 million, reflecting his prudent financial stewardship and long-term investment vision. And whereas Mr. Salisbury generously shared his time and expertise as chair of the Retirement Investment Committees for the City and County of Kalamazoo's pension funds, the Kalamazoo Community Foundation, the Kalamazoo Foundation for Excellence, and the Kalamazoo Institute of Arts endowment funds, providing sound fiscal stewardship and advancing the financial stability of these vital community institutions. And whereas Mr. Salisbury took great pride in ensuring that retirees received the benefits they earned, and his thoughtful guidance, fiscal discipline, and commitment to excellence have left a legacy that will continue to benefit the city, the county, and the residents for generations to come. And whereas beyond his community service, Mr. Salisbury distinguished himself professionally as Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of the Upjohn Company and later Pharmacy and Upjohn Incorporated, where his leadership earned national and international respect. And whereas Mr. Salisbury also shared his financial expertise through board service with numerous organizations, including Enzon Pharmaceuticals, Packard Bioscience Company, Allendale Mutual Insurance Company, First of America Bank Michigan, ACE Insurance Company Ltd., and Corporate Offices and Directors Assurance Ltd. And whereas throughout his life, Mr. Salisbury exemplified professionalism, generosity, and a deep sense of responsibility to his community's values that strengthened Kalamazoo County's fiscal foundation and inspired all who had the privilege of working alongside him. Now, therefore, it be it proclaimed that the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners expresses with sincere appreciation to Mr. Robert Salisbury for his exemplary professional achievements, his outstanding financial leadership, and his enduring commitment to the prosperity and well-being of the Kalamazoo community. And be it further proclaimed that the board extends its deepest condolences to Mr. Salisbury's family and its heartfelt gratitude for his decades of service, leadership, and generosity that will continue to enrich Kalamazoo County for generations to come.
Thank you. That motion was made by Vice Chair Taylor and supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Gisler?
Thank you, Chair. Can we make sure that our finance director has a copy of that to take to the Pension Investment Committee tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock? I think they all should know that we took this action tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner
Thank
Kessler. Anything further? So our deep gratitude and thanks and condolences to Mr. Salisbury's family. With that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Right, next we move to communications. I have item 5, item 2025-1540, notice of hearing for electric customers of Indiana Michigan Power Company, case number U21986, and item 2025-1532, request for approval of the November 18th, 2025 draft committee of the whole and regular meeting minutes. Any other communications? All right, seeing none, we take approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Commissioner Wheeler. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's go to item 7, approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Did you have something, Commissioner Gissler?
Yes, I would like to take the last item under the circuit court and have it discussed under new business. That's 2025-1484.
Thank you. All right. Yep, any others? Commissioner Wheeler?
I would like to add a topic of discussion if possible, under our continuing business about community grants.
Okay. Under old business? Okay. Anything further from the commissioners? All right, entertain a motion for the agenda as amended. Okay, motion by Vice Chair Pro Tem. Support by Commissioner Gissler. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The agenda as amended is approved. Item 8 is an opportunity for additional presentations. There are none. 9 for public hearings. There are none. 10 for public comment. This is our first opportunity in this session. Public comment can be made in person or again by phone at 855-925-2801. Enter meeting code 10748 and press *3 to join the queue. If you wish to speak during both public comment periods, you must press *3 again anytime after this first public session ends. This is the first opportunity to address the board for up to 3 minutes in a professional and respectful manner. Once you're recognized, please share your name and where you're from, whether in person or online. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, Administrator, is there anyone online? Thank you. All right, we will end that first public comment period. We'll go to item 11, our consent agenda. Entertain a motion for its approval.
I move that we move all items on the consent agenda and be considered add one vote and be considered a consent agenda by the board. Looking at Abby for permission.
Motion is made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Any further discussion? Actually, there is none on consent agenda. All those, I'm sorry, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Gissler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler,
Yes.
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Ray, Chair Stretz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLue. You have 9 yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Sorry, I was just counting quick. We had a long consent agenda, so it was 31 items to my count, just approved. All right, so we will move forward to item 12, unfinished business and general orders. It's requested by Commissioner Wheeler. Further discussion on community grants. Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Chair. I know that Commissioner Mazur and I have received some communication from Texas Township, their supervisor, regarding us taking their funding and allocating it elsewhere. You know, I'm going to sound like Commissioner Gisler here a little bit, but the townships do make up 60% of our population. And I think it's important to note that Texas Township is going through some hardship right now. And I understand that we have a process for community grants. You know, if somebody were to change, you know, their criteria on a federal grant, then that would likely disqualify them. But at the same time, these two projects that Texas Township submitted to us scored the same. While they have different scopes, they still go to benefiting the residents that live in Kalamazoo County. And so I just wanted to make the board aware of that. You know, when it comes to 20 grand in our budget, that's, you know, Commissioner Vice Chair Taylor said it before, that's pennies for us. And I think we need to be diligent about every dollar that we spend. And so I would be advocating for us to try to fund Texas Township's request to do their community engagement. Again, I know that there is process, but this community needs it. And they are trying to figure out their funding. They're trying to figure out a lot of really big and hard decisions with not a lot of leadership at this moment in time.
Thank you, Commissioner Wheeler. Commissioner Mazur.
Yes, I support what you're saying. Because I think the community grants that were awarded, we had some really wonderful projects, but I was disappointed that Texas Township was not one of them. Because they did apply for two, and so I would very much support, you know, finding that funding somewhere. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mazur. Is there any other discussion? Commissioner Vice Chair Taylor.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this was a tough one because our community grants go. I always wanted to put as much as we could into local municipalities, local city of Parchment and everything else. But when you apply for a grant and you apply for it at a nonprofit level, at a state level, at a federal level, even in the business community, when you apply for a loan and they're given a loan to start this business, you don't say, well, thank you for the money, I've decided to do something else with it. We scored, and I don't believe they were scored the same. I think the Trailway project scored higher than the community engagement. I could be wrong, but I'm going through this, and at least by commissioner's count, it scored higher on the community trail project. If Texas Township wants $30,000 to do a community trail, as we originally awarded them the grant, and that grant beat out lots of other grants that applied. I think there were 80 different organizations that did it, and we scored it based on what us as commissioners want as community needs. But to take the money and then say, this is a blank check, I'm going to use it for another purpose, and it disregards the scoring process. I think it's not, we can get over it as commissioners, but I believe it's disrespectful for us as commissioners to go through that scoring process and then have something that didn't score higher and say, well, we want to use the money for something different than what we originally applied for. And most importantly, I find it disrespectful to all the other groups that applied for that $400,000. There was a lot of different organizations that applied for that, organizations that put people in beds in the cold, help the most vulnerable in our community. And we scored that, at least my opinion, we scored that in a way that we saw the Parks Trail as something that would benefit the whole community, whereas the community engagement process benefited the residents of Texas Township and help that government make informed decisions. And if that's something that they want to do, then I think they should go ahead and do that, use their fund balance to do that. We were told that they would no longer be able to use that $30,000 for the trail. if they find a way that they can find the match or do the 30,000, I am the first in line to say, let's go and do our contingency, or let's find a way to make the $30,000 whole for that trailway project, because that is the project that scored. You can't go to the federal government or the state government and say, I've received a grant for this, but I'm going to use it for that. It goes against the whole purpose of how we score and how, the process and how we got there. Otherwise, I mean, you can put in anything you want in the grants process and then use the money for something that's different. I am in favor and still am in favor of local municipalities receiving a majority of those grant dollars, because I think that's where it can be most effective. And if Texas Township finds a way to do the $30,000 for community trailway and repair the trailway, I am the first on board to say, let's do it. Let's find the money to do it. But not for a community engagement process when so many other things, in my opinion, that scored higher.
Thank you, Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. So these were ARPA funds, and every scoring event that we had, we were very, very adamant about making sure folks, if they didn't use the money for what they were supposed to give back. So we've had a return of money from organizations like that. I'm in support of, supporting all of Kalamazoo County. But I am so more in support of us being transparent and not taking favoritism towards the city of Kalamazoo, the city of Portage, or what we should be doing for different municipalities. For me, if the money is going to the community for the good and that's what you filled it out for, let's do it. But I think we need to stand firm on transparency, and if someone says I need the money for this, that they're actually using it for it. So I understand the frustration, as Vice Chair mentioned, in any other instance or any grant that you apply for, unless it's open-ended and it's in the contractual agreement that you could do what you want, then I think we need to be firm, just so we don't get backlash from other entities. And for that committee that worked hard on the scoring, it's a tedious process to go through all those applications and do it. So, I feel for Texas Township, but we have to stay consistent on how we score and how we reflect transparency through our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Morales. I'll agree, strongly with my colleague, my prior two colleagues here, and I do want to recognize we understand the pressures. I mean, I served at the township level. I know, budgets are tight. There are tough decisions. You wish you could do more in the community, and those are real frustrations. And I appreciate the township, communicating that to us. But in the end, we've developed a process. The board did due diligence through that. We committed our work and we took an action as a board. I appreciate it being, refined as we go forward. And this is our first time doing this structured process, and I think we have things to learn from it. And one of those things being for grant awardees to understand the expectation is that we'll expend the funds as requested. I'm also open to looking at other potential solutions to be partnerships with local governments at any time that we can, but this process is solidified, reviewed, voted on, and action was taken by the board, and I'd like to respect the work of our colleagues in that. Commissioner DeLu.
Yeah, just a couple things. It's 23,000, but that's immaterial. And I don't think they came to us and said, we're going to use it for something else. They asked. Yes. And at the time I was in support of it. But this board voted, and it was an ask, and the board said no. So as much as I wanted to give them the money in the first place, I don't think we should. I think we should, like the chair said, we should honor our vote. Thank you.
And thank you for clarifying it. It was an ask, not yeah. Thank you. Anyone else with the first? Okay, Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. The last thing I'll say is, I think for me, the biggest thing was that I feel like we maybe missed the mark with having an open conversation with Texas Township. I think information was conveyed, and maybe the right questions were asked by us as a board of, you know, could we have just continued to go with that? Because from my understanding was that their first award, they needed to go back, the supervisor needed to go back and ask her board if that they were able to continue to do that. They wanted to pull from their contingency to be able to do it. And so I think that's where I am coming from, is that there could have been more dialogue, and instead we just voted on it in this haste in one meeting. And so I respect the process and that, you know, we voted on it, it is what it is, but I just want us to be aware that maybe sometimes there's more information and we need to maybe take some time to digest it and ask the right questions before we just go, no, you don't get your money anymore. And maybe that, you know, they needed time too. They have a process just like we do. They only meet every 2 weeks just like we do. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Wheeler. Anything further on that matter? Okay. We will go now to new business, non-consent. We'll take up first item 2025-1517. Request for approval of a resolution declaring housing as a public health crisis in Kalamazoo. Commissioner Morales? It's a motion by Commissioner Morales, supported by Commissioner Wheeler. Discussion. Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. As I have read through this proclamation, I just have a few questions. Some of the statistic information only goes up to like 2022. And I think we've done more since 2022. We've done a lot to help with housing and issues. And I'm not saying that this is a good issue, but I don't understand the need for a proclamation in this matter. I'd like to see a proclamation for people's driving. We kill more people on our roads in Kalamazoo than we do anything else, I think. But I mean, housing's important. I get it. And we're doing a lot with housing. We're spending millions of county taxpayer dollars for housing and improvements, but I don't understand the need for a proclamation. It's just an open-ended question.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pro Tem. Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. This is a resolution, and I believe that there is a need for it. There was, when I first brought this up in 2022, we were going off of information from, I believe the census lets out information every 4 years? Every 10 years. So that's why you might see the 2022 data. But what's going on in Kalamazoo, we just had Continuum of Care give a very in-depth report on our houseless population. As someone who works in higher education, I have students who are sleeping in tents, that can't shower regularly, that are still trying to make it to class. When we look at our maternal health rates, birth rates, all of this is impacted by housing. When you do not have clean, sustainable housing, it impacts your mental health. It impacts how you move and shake. It impacts if you get to go to work or not, if you're employed. And as we see, even though we're pushing our houseless population out of downtown for various reasons, when you come off I-94, you see a trail of people that are in need. You see hotels filled. And right now we do not have, our building that we're working on is not up in motion right now. So I understand the pushback on people, but I don't understand how we can't believe that we are in a housing crisis. Nationwide, these are conversations that are going on. We are sometimes deflected by what we see in the media, because for me, I feel sometimes it's one-sided. You can put your own argument up on that, but at the end of the day, people can't afford their rent. We just have folks come up here and say that they had to quit their job because they can't afford daycare. This is all connected to housing. If you can't afford to send your child to daycare and you have to quit your job, someone just mentioned that they had been displaced out different jobs 3 different times. When you are applying for school and scholarships, you have to be under a certain bracket, and most privileged people don't understand that. They just mentioned that once you are $2 or $3 over the limit, that you no longer qualify for anything that the state has to offer you. That includes some of the monies that we distribute out to different organizations. They go on that sliding scale, and even though for me, salary doesn't equal wealth, someone may look at my salary and be like, you're over the limit, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I can afford a 2-bedroom apartment at $1,300. So digging deeper into the data, understanding that agencies their funding has been cut, and there are several eviction notices. If we really want to dig deep into this housing crisis, reach out to Chief Judge Jagir and see how many evictions that they go through daily. Ask the sheriff how many times he has to put signs on folks' door because they can't afford their rent or they have lost their homes to foreclosure. So again, it's a resolution. It's necessary. We wouldn't be doing half of the things that we're doing for Kalamazoo County if this wasn't an issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Morales. Others? All right, I just want to, I'm sorry, go ahead, Vice Chair.
Really quick, this is a resolution and a proclamation. I look at it as a proclamation of our values. What we really can do with our values is what we vote on, what we fund, what we don't fund. There's no better testament to what an organization or what a community's values are than their budget. That's the proof is in the pudding. The reason I'm supporting this is because I think it'd be good for me and probably all commissioners to read it about every 2 or 3 months. Go through it and reread it as we go through our motion. This on its own it's a proclamation. It's a piece of paper. But I think it's a testament to what we're trying to do. And while I think this is important, I think what was more important is the work that we do up here to reflect what is written down here.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And I'll agree with that as well. And I want to thank Commissioner Morales for her work and advocacy on this as a formal proclamation. I think, points already stated, there are portions of our community that have a 10-year shorter life expectancy than just a few blocks away or mile away. That is about the condition of the lived environment. And housing is a significant social determinant of health. One of the things that this does, and this board has been working hard to both invest in affordable housing and refine how we do that to reach the people most impacted. And I think we have very important work coming in front of us to try to target that in a more direct way. That will be in future discussions. But this also, with Commissioner Morales's foresight here, challenges our health department and our housing department to collaborate together, which they haven't been in ongoing dialogue. And now they are charged to do that. And they had some initial discussions as we refined some of the language here, but this challenges them to provide us an annual report together collectively about what is this impact having. And there will be a number of data sets that they can use to help inform that work, from what we're doing, the housing millage to the community needs assessments that we'll see, maternal infant health data, etc. So I'm happy to see this move forward, and hope that we see it prevail tonight. Anything further? All right, seeing none, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Commissioner Mazer.
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Ray.
Yes.
Chair Streps.
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor.
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Yes.
Commissioner DeLue.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gissler.
No.
You have 8 yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Right. And we'll go back to the item 2025-1484, moved by Commissioner Gisler. This is a request for the elimination of a 0.5 FTE problem-solving court case coordinator. Commissioner Gisler? Well, actually, let's entertain a motion first.
So moved. Support.
Motion is made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Now open for discussion. Commissioner Gisler.
Excuse me. Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm a big fan of the problem-solving courts, and I would like to have some assurances that this does not mean there will be fewer people in those courts being well served, that the elimination of 1/2 FTE as a case coordinator is something we can live with.
Thank you, Commissioner Gisler. Administrator, do you have any insight on the impact of the elimination and what precipitated the request?
Yes, Chair, thank you for the opportunity. Commissioner Gisler and Commissioners, this request was prompted due to some funding that was reduced from a grant that they received. So it was reduced, it was a half-time position, and the grant was actually reduced by 0.25. So now it left them with a quarter-time position, and they needed to reduce the funding of that position to align with the new award. So they actually recently received some funding from the Kalamazoo Community Foundation for problem-solving courts, the amount of $500,000. I believe the board accepted that grant sometime in October from the Kalamazoo Community Foundation. So we've been told that operations should continue as normal in the circuit court for problem-solving courts specifically, and I think you can be rest assured that they'll continue those several of those programs that exist today.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, that brings us to the end of new business. We'll move to item 14, which is our second opportunity for public comment. Members virtually or online can call in at the number previously stated or press *3 to join the queue. And anyone in public may join us at the podium. Please share your name and where you're from if seeking public comment. Is there anyone wishing to make comment? Seeing none, is there anyone online? Thank you, Administrator. All right, we will end that second public comment opportunity. We'll go to item 15, reports of officers, bodies, administrator, and controller. So I just want to share a quick thanks to Commissioner Ray for her work and leadership on the Women Who Lead food drive. Commissioner Ray really spearheaded, that entire, you did a great job. Commissioner Ray, helped organize families, food. I mean, it was very well done, and I appreciated being able to participate in it. But I was, what's the word I'm looking for? Just really impressed with your organizational skills. I know all of that about you anyway, but seeing in action all the good that you do like that in the community, I just want to thank you. And other female elected officials who participated, Commissioner Wheeler and Morales, that helped to raise funds for the effort as well. I appreciate all of that support from the community. And with that, that's my comments for this evening, Vice Chair.
Thank you. One of the things that we did tonight in our consent agenda, which is going to have long-term financial impacts to the county, but it was necessary that we did do that, was the reclassifications that we did for our judicial aides, the court clerks, other reclassifications in there. We strive to be at the market level, and quite frankly, a little bit above market level, because that's how we retain and attract the best talent. This is going to have impacts in future budget years, so that people are aware of that. But it is something that needs to be done and puts those court clerks in alignment with other communities of similar size and other courts. And people are doing the work. We need to pay them the appropriate amount of compensation that they're doing, because it's their labor that runs this county. We might make decisions up here, but they're the ones on the front lines. And I appreciate them bringing it to us. Just to remind this board, this is going to have implications in year 2, 3, 5, 6, all the way on. But it's something that needed to be done. And so I'm glad we were able to do that tonight. And if Gigi, if you're still up, it's time for bed.
Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. During this time of giving and, we need to think of the reason for this season, and that's the baby Jesus and, our faith in our community and our country and our community and all the things that we hold dear, our family and friends and relatives. And we need to be mindful of their needs as we go through this season, and wish them the best and try to help them where we can. We need to also think of our men and women, both here and abroad, that protect our community and our country. Our men and women who are on the front lines every day, the police and the fire, the medical folks that take care of our community and our people. When you see them, tell them thanks for their hard work. I do hear it quite regularly out when I'm out working in my day job, as the sheriff says, my day job. So it's good to hear. And I know the men and women I've talked to, and I thank them for their service. So take a moment to thank them for their hard work, their dedication, as they try to keep us safe. Also, real plug for food drives. The Richland and Ross Augusta Fire Departments are going to be having a food drive this Saturday at Harding's from 9 to 1. We appreciate any donations at that location, the Harding's on Gull Road. This will be, I think we've done it about 40, I think I recall 43 years of doing it. So it's not our first time. In fact, we did it quite a bit even when everybody else had stopped doing it. So we'd love to see you out there and support. The food stays in the community. It goes to our local food banks to help the communities out in our neck of the woods get through this holiday season and through the year. So we appreciate your donations, and I want to wish everybody, I hope everybody had a safe Thanksgiving, and hopefully you have a great Christmas. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Administrator Dr. Cameron.
All right, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Commissioners, audience. I just have a few announcements and then one expression of gratitude and appreciation for staff. But first and foremost, I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. And I thank everyone that traveled up Wednesday so that they were out of my way when I traveled to Illinois with zero traffic on Thursday. So that was nice for us. Yeah, zero traffic and weather was perfect. So, but hopefully everyone made it to their destination safely. First announcement I want to make, there was an article that was published in MLive, and it's regarding the a restaurant that's located in the former Cracker Barrel. It's called the OCB, which is Otis and Chuck Billiards. So it's not to be confused with old Cracker Barrel, but they call it the OCB rather. And they operated in that facility. And this encompasses testing requirements they had to undertake. And I just wanted to help clarify for the board and the public some of the statements that were in there, because it's become a point of discussion and the media picked it up. So when the current property owner acquired that site, they were fully informed of the stringent public health testing protocols required by the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, so MDARD. These requirements stem directly from documented history of significant health concerns concerns at that location under its previous operator, which is Cracker Barrel, including salmonella-related issues that MDARD actively managed during Cracker Barrel's operation. So I know the community is very familiar with that. They had to shut down, they reopened, then they shut down for good, right? So our Health and Community Services Department, as articulated in the article, really actually has not imposed any new discretionary mandates. We're following state mandates from MDARD. And so instead they've been implementing those state mandated protocols to remain in place due to a few things. One, the prior contamination history associated with that property, the need for heightened public health safeguards, and MDARD's regulatory oversight and ongoing requirements. And this obligation was really imposed to ensure that the public ensures food is safe, and then prevention efforts are in place while that building was undergoing testing. So while the testing, as articulated in the article, is very costly, these measures ensure really a single purpose, ensuring that protecting public health is above board, and the county has acted in full compliance with the MDARD stipulations. And so it's unfortunate that this business had to unfortunately close, the new business that took over the former Cracker Barrel location, but those testing requirements are in place to ensure public safety is and health is top of mind and always in front of us. So just wanted to dispel some of that language in that article. I do want to share just a couple updates related to RFPs that were published. So one, the administration building design RFP has been published. Proposals are due on December 18th this month, and obviously it's to secure a comprehensive design, engineering, and construction phase services for the new construction of the administration building. So it's a major step in a long-term facility strategy and modernizing the county's administrative footprint. The next one, and we talked about this last meeting, and we've moved in the right direction. We've moved the needle on this. We published the I just call it the Carnival Services RFP for the fair. So those proposals are due on December 23rd this month, and there is the scope is identifying a qualified carnival provider to deliver full service amusement midway, including riding attractions, gaming concessions, appropriate equipment and staffing, and then full compliance with operational safety and regulatory standards. And so we look forward to that solicitation and bringing back a recommendation to the board to move that project forward. And then lastly, I just want to give appreciation to a lot of staff. There's a lot of work that goes into creating these packets. They're massive packets, a lot of information. First and foremost, our team in the administrator's office that stays late to publish these packets on Fridays, and last week was a little different. We had to publish it by Wednesday because of the holiday. So but we got it out, and there are some mistakes, few mistakes, but that just happens when you have this kind of information. And one of the offices that helps us kind of point out and ensures accuracy of presentation of materials in the packets is the clerk's office. They spend a lot of time reviewing all of the items one by one, and they submit a list of potential corrections that need to be made to ensure that these packets are presented in an accurate manner and that they're well vetted. So we appreciate their time and effort on that. It's a good partnership with them, and the time they spend on that is pretty thorough. So we appreciate that. And again, we just appreciate the board taking the time to review the packets and providing us feedback, asking questions before the meeting. That's always helpful. We're always willing to answer them on the spot too. But we really do appreciate that. It shows us that obviously that you care about the material and that you're invested in what we have in front of you. So definitely appreciate everyone's diligence because it directly supports transparency and effective governance. So have a good evening, and that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Administrator. I'll add briefly one RFP issue. On the parking garage, we're going to do a large public art display on the north end of the parking garage near Martin Luther King Park. And so we will discuss potential creation of an ad hoc committee with a few interested commissioners, and we'll have collaboration with the Arts Council and community voices, the NACD, Douglas Community Association and other stakeholders in the neighborhood in light of that. All right. So more discussion will occur on that next time. Commissioner Ray, would you like to start us out? Commissioner Wheeler.
Thanks, Chair. I'm glad that we're going to engage the Public Arts Commission. I sit with them and have been talking to some of the folks on there, and they want to engage with the county board some more. So I look forward to maybe in the new year seeing them coming and giving us a quick little presentation. And we are still looking for a historian to sit on that board. So if anybody knows a local historian, encourage them to apply. Thanks.
Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Ray, for putting together the food drive, and thank you to everyone who donated. We did meet did we meet our goal? Kind of, yeah. We exceeded our goal. Thank you. So yes, thank you for your hard work, and I hope that the families enjoyed their holiday food. I also have shout out to our HCS team. They have a MOU signed with Kalamazoo Valley and for the Circle Center. And so they are a part of our resource hub. They made it to our soft lunch last week. I was able to step down to our new market where we are able to give students an opportunity to shop for free as long as they are a currently enrolled student. No policing, you go in there. So we have everything from porn to contraception in there. And a lot of it is because of Kalamazoo County Health and Human Services. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Ms. Lentz and her team who came in. They were there today and talked about some different issues. So they have programming going on. They have episodic testing going on. And then if they need to follow up for a visit, they invite them out to their other entity. Thank you all who supported the resolution/proclamation with identifying that housing is a public health crisis. I really hope that, you know, in the future, this board, everyone will agree that the work is never done. And this is a really, really hard issue that we need to tackle. I look forward to Director Balkama's work to how our dollars are going to support this community and make it thrive. And again, for the reclassification, you know, where there is funding at, I want to make sure that our staff, they're happy and that they can pay their bills. So I never want anyone under our purview to have to decide between food and paying their rent or their mortgage. So thank you all and have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Mazer.
I just have one thing. I'd just like to say, make Kalamazoo a place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mazer. Couldn't let a meeting go by. Commissioner Gisler.
Now Dale's not going to have anything to say. I have 3 items. One, I voted against the proclamation for housing as a public health thing. We've got a housing village, and we're spending money like hardly any other county in the state has done. And I think that says it all, and we don't need a proclamation. Secondly, I'd like to say that, and I'm sorry that I just saw our undersheriff walk out, because I wanted to pay a compliment to both the road commission and the sheriff's office. I had a citizen that was concerned about the smell and speed and whatever else of manure trucks going down her street. And I got a hold of both the road commission and the sheriff's office, and not expecting them to be able to do much, but they both came back with some pretty decent ideas, and I fed them to the complainant, and she felt very happy that she was getting that level of attention. So the fact that they got back to me, you know, within 24 hours, I thought was really commendable, because they've got a lot of other fish to fry, and this really it helped me score points with this lady, frankly. And the last item I have is next Monday, the person who is the senior community advisor for Enbridge will be at my morning breakfast at Mark's Diner on Romance, 8:30, and we will be able to get not only an update of what Enbridge is up to, but ask any questions we want of her, and she should have good examples, good answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gissler. Commissioner DeLuke?
I had something to say, but Wendy stole my thunder, so I don't have anything, so thank you.
Yep, thank you. Let's see, with that, we are now adjourned.